Hello, my name is Matt Young. I'm the Illinois River Watch Coordinator. Today I'm going to be doing an instructional video for how to do the temperature logger project for River Watch. So the temperature logger project is where we put a temperature logger like this little small device into a stream that continuously records the stream temperature every hour for however many months we leave it into the stream. And then we collect it and extract all the data, and we can see what type of thermal pollution might be occurring in the stream from things like stormwater runoff, deforestation, things like that. So what you'll need to do this project is you'll need a temperature logger that's very small. It fits in the palm of your hand very easily. River Watch does have these that we're handing out.
Before you place the logger in the stream, you'll want to make sure that the green light next to the word OK on the logger is blinking every 5 seconds. That means that it is taking data. If it is not blinking, do not put your logger into the stream. Return it to be reset.
So on the temperature logger, before you put it into the stream, you're going to want to record the temperature logger number on your data sheet. This is what's going to identify it when we pick it up and tie all its data to this logger. So the number on the hobo logger is right there. It's usually around 8 digits long, so you'd mark that number on your data sheet. Don't confuse it with the part number or patent number, which is on the manufacturer's label on this side. Those are not the numbers we need. We need this number right here, which is what's going to tie it to all the data we collect. You'll also need a zip tie that we're going to use to tie our temperature logger. You want a piece of a stake of some sort, several feet long. A 3-foot piece of rebar right here is perfect. And then a good hammer. This type of hammer, like a 3-pound, 4-pound, or 5-pound hammer is usually pretty good for driving it, especially in harder substrates. Then you'll also want clipboard, your temperature logger data sheet, and a pencil to write on. And then when you choose a zip tie for your survey, use one of the small, thin ones, just like this, because if you use too thick of one, it's not going to fit through the little eyelet on the logger very well. So this is the logger. It's got a very small eyelet on there, so you don't want to use too fat of a zip tie. And you'll also need a smartphone is good to bring with you, or bring a GPS device to mark your location. Smartphones actually usually have a compass tool in the Utilities app, and then you can mark your coordinates of your location. And also good for taking a photo of your site so you can find your temperature logger several months later when you remove it from the stream. Next thing you want to do is look for a suitable spot in the stream for you to put your logger. You want to put it in an area of the stream that's not too shallow so that it might dry up and expose the logger to the air. You also want to put it in an area of the stream that's away from where people might be getting in. So I usually like to put it up against a steep bank where people are not likely to travel, in deeper water, so it's a little bit hidden. That's not always possible, but do the best you can to find a deeper spot like a pool in the stream that's hopefully shaded to some degree and not away from people traffic. So I think this bank over here is going to be perfect for putting in our temperature logger. So I'm going to grab my gear and head over there. It's a little bit deeper over there, so I'll get a little bit wet, but I think that'll be good for getting the best data we can. Alright, so here's an area against the bank that I don't think anybody will stumble upon our temperature logger. So I'm going to find an area right here, and I'm going to start driving my stake into the ground with the hammer. Alright, it's just below the stream surface there. You want to leave still about a foot of it sticking out of the ground to give yourself enough space to tie on your logger. You don't want to tie on your logger right next to the stream bottom because it could get sedimented over and that could mess with the data. So we want to leave about a foot of the bar sticking up, and then we want to tie on the logger about 6 to 8 inches off the bottom of the stream if we have enough water here. So I'm going to set my hammer aside. I'm going to grab zip tie, temperature logger. I'm going to run the zip tie through the logger. And we're going to place the logger on the downstream side of the stake. So the stream is flowing this way. We're going to place the logger on the downstream side, so if there's any debris getting washed down, it's somewhat protected by the stake. And again, we're going to tie it onto the logger about 6 to 8 inches off the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and close my zip tie before I slip it over the top. So I'm going to feel down where the bottom is, then I'm going to come up about 6 inches or 8 inches, and I'm going to tighten the zip tie. So now my zip tie is tight, it's facing downstream, and now it's starting to log the temperature. It's going to log it every hour for the rest of the year that we leave it out here. So the other things you want to do while you're at your logger site is you want to take a picture of your site so you can find it again, and also mark the coordinates. So I've got my smartphone here. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this in the stream while you have your smartphone, just in case you drop it. But you want to go to your compass app and wait till the coordinates stabilize, and then you can take a screenshot of your coordinates. And now you have your coordinates marked for your site. Then you want to go to your camera, and you want to take a picture of where you put your logger. It's good to take several photos, some up close, some far away, to give you a good perspective. I'll take one even further away from where I marked it. That tree root right there, where this tree is leaning in, is a good marker of where we put it. You can also take a picture facing upstream and a picture facing downstream to help orient yourself. Before we leave the stream, we do want to make sure that our data sheet is completed. So we would record the temperature logger number on here, the Riverwatch site number, the same one used for the Riverwatch monitoring, the stream name, the date, and time that you put it in. It's very important to put the time down that you put it in, because that's what's going to tell us when to start taking data from that logger. It's recording all the time before we put it into the stream, but we know that at this date and this time, it's now starting to record the water temperature data, and that's the data that we'll actually use when we pull it off the logger later in the year. You also make sure to put down your longitude and latitude of where you put your logger. You can get that from a GPS device or a smartphone. The location, so you want to mark down which road you're near. Usually good to put down like a bridge crossing and how far up from the bridge crossing that you are to your stream, or some other landmark. Also, after you take a photo, or you can make a map, you can attach it to this data sheet here so that it's always with it and nobody will have any questions about where to find this in case down the road somebody else is looking for it. Mark down your weather conditions during your sampling and any comments about your site. You will leave the part blank about the date and time you removed it and the condition it was in then. That will be for later, several months later after you take it out of the stream.